Hello YouTube, back with the next My Little Pony review, and today I'm reviewing Porcina as a character. She is a literal pig. I'm not kidding, you want to actually look it up yourself, go ahead and do that. But she's a literal pig. I'm not talking about like her eating habits, she's literally a pig animal. She is mostly interested in herself, really. And the problem arises when her little cloak that she uses to keep herself looking pretty is falling apart. And it's basically on its way out. I mean, it's got patches. It sounds like, from the looks of the design, it's probably been around a long time. It means her magic no longer works, so... And consequently, this also means she has to end up putting up with the dog birds, if you will. I don't have any other descriptive way to describe what they are, except what they actually look like. But they're not with her, and by any stance, they're just using her, really. Kind of sense you get what she deserves in the end of this, because she ends up wanting to steal the magic of the unicorns by taking their hair and, you know, making a new cloth out of it. Who knows? We won't know if there had been a better way to deal with this, whether she would have actually gone with that one. So we don't know if she's entirely evil per se. I mean, she does have. I mean, she is rather selfish when you get down to it. Just considering the fact she wants to make herself beautiful, even if that means turning all the ponies into glass. That was her ended up objective in the end. Because you wanted to basically end up turning the Ponyland into glass, including all the ponies that were still there at the time. So, definitely selfish at the very least. She isn't as egotistical as she did for Rainbow Dash, but it's not annoying to be around, surprisingly. I mean, I guess granted, because of everything else that's going on, she does have at least, I think she does eventually, by the end of the episode, end of the 4-part storyline, does kind of get over it a bit. I don't recall exactly, but, you know, she kind of has good intents, at least in a sense. Only in the fact that, okay, her cloak is broken, she wants a new one. She probably just doesn't have any other way to get it. And this is where we also find out that apparently the unicorns, at least the unicorns, their hair goes back instantaneously. That would actually have a lot of good uses on its own. That would actually have a lot of, that means if they screwed up your haircut, it would go right back and you'd never know it was ever changed. That can be also really useful for hair loss in general. Because that happens to everyone eventually. At least the males seem to have it more commonly, but... Of course, the ponies were never happy about her in general. Mostly because they had to do her bidding. They were the ones that actually had to learn how to sew, using the machines she had. But I guess she at least made it easy. It's not like she made it completely over complicated, but she had to have their hair washed first. So I guess when it comes to villains, she's more like Somnambula, but less, I don't know, maybe kind of sort of less sinister about it. You wouldn't really know she had anything dangerous planned, because there was never a look on her face that said, oh, I'm dangerous, you should keep an eye on me. She's generally nice the entire time, so if she is being evil, she knows how to hide it rather well. The ponies ended up only knowing something's up when they're the ones getting involved in this mess. And they do eventually end up switching out the cloak for one that doesn't work. I think that's the end result. I don't think they ever actually officially convert her over to being good or actually end up beating her themselves. They just switch out the cloak for one that's totally bogus, but it almost backfires on them. It gets very close to actually completely screwing them over, by recollection. But yeah, certainly a character you can probably at least, maybe you somewhat can relate to her, because, of course, you know, probably females only, because, I mean, she wants to look pretty, and that's kind of a typical thing of girls and women in general. They want to look pretty, so you just wouldn't go out through the motives to actually make that happen. You would probably use less sinister motives to make that work, especially since we have a lot more options that I'm sure Porcina ever had or ever thought of. As far as we know, the only method that she ended up using was the one that was possible. We don't know if there are any other methods that she could have used. In which case, if she knew about the other methods and decided not to use them, then she's probably more sinister than she actually made herself appear. But as far as we know, she's just at least self-centered for the most part. But even that, she doesn't show that. So you wouldn't know that out of the gates unless she told you her plan from the get-go. You'd otherwise think she's someone you could hang out with. And granted, she may not be the most attractive character in general, but given the fact that she at least makes herself seem like a nice being to be around, at least you could probably get over the fact that she doesn't look very appealing. She's probably the only one that actually thinks herself look appealing. I think it's hard to tell whether that's due to age or maybe that's why the cloak didn't work, because it was obviously very old and tattered and probably been overused over the years leading up to this story. But, you know, she's not the worst character I've ever seen. I've seen much worse. I've already gone through the ones that I found that are much worse than her. But, you know, if you're going to watch the episodes involving her, the Glass Princess, be warned, she may not be exactly what you envision. She's definitely a literal pig. Let me tell you again. So, expect a pig. Expect a main character pig as the antagonist here, if you end up watching that. I mean, but, you know, look past that. If you're actually going to go through that, please give the 4 episodes a shot involving her. She's not that bad. I've seen a lot worse. She doesn't have an obnoxious voice that'll make you want to rip your hair out or anything like that. I think she ends up singing at one point, but I don't think it's awful. It's not like nails on a chalkboard awful. But it may not be, you know, out of nowhere, jump up and start dancing kind of thing where it's just that good of a song. So, yeah, that's my review on Porcina from the G1 My Little Pony TV show. Thanks for watching.